First round of FNCS groups is over and we now have our first 10 teams qualified to grand finals. On EU, we had some huge upsets. ThomasHD missing out, Shark missing out, Refsguard missing out. Over on NA, meanwhile, things were apparently too easy for Acorn, Ages, and Pollo. They weren't even trying, to the point people are saying you shouldn't be allowed to do what they've just done in groups. I'm gonna cover everything, show you guys the best clips and moments. Let's get into it. Yes, you've probably noticed my background looks different. I've officially made it to Dallas. I'm sorry if there's a little bit of echo or the mic's a bit weird. We're gonna fix all the setup tomorrow, but I only arrived like 24 hours ago. I built these PCs, just smashed out an 11-hour stream for groups, which was amazing. If you guys showed up on the Twitch or YouTube stream, I love you guys. The vibes are gonna be amazing. We're gonna be making a bunch of content, but we have to talk about groups. Now, group 1 on NA wasn't the most stacked group. I think probably group 2 was, but there was some big teams playing here. We had Acorn's team, Aviv's team, Taki's team, Booga's team, and while most of them we thought were going to get across the line, it was the closest group I've watched in a very long time. It was only 166 points to come top 10. You're probably thinking, Aussie, that means it's a bad lobby, but the lower the points usually means the closer the lobby is, which made it extremely exciting. Now, game 1, we had Oliver OG, Blake, and Diego come out with the 3 elim win. Now, not the most exciting finish, and there is a bit of controversy here, and before I explain it, I'll show you how Acorn, Ages, and Pollo played the endgame, and you can decide if this looked a little bit different. Oh my god. Does he look nervous? He doesn't look that nervous. Oh. Never mind. Never mind.
I can't see him. He says Medal.
Never mind, we look very nervous. That might have been the most OG ever, bro. Is this how Acorn died? Oh, damn. Ah, unfortunate edits there from Ages. Ah, shucks. Damn. I mean, Ages is known for having really bad edits, to be fair. He's a very slow player, so like that's kind of understandable, honestly. I don't think anything suspicious there at all. Now, I'm not trying to take this away from Oliver OG. I love this trio. I had them predicted to qualify myself. I was talking to Acorn and Kanata about their predictions for the Heat. They both said they actually thought OG was going to take height and win a game, and they were correct. But what I'm talking about here is how Ages, Acorn, and Pollo's aim and mechanics looked slightly different here in the first game. But now, before I hear people saying this is collusion, they're giving OG the win, Acorn, Ages, and Pollo, they didn't want to qualify. And that's a touchy subject, right? It's a little bit weird. Why would they not want to qualify? And it's for a few reasons. The reason why Fortnite got rid of the prize pool from tournaments in the first place for FNCS is because they had auto qualification. If you won a game or if you placed whatever, you skip the rest of FNCS. So it didn't make sense to have prize money in the groups or the heats anymore, because if you qualified, you missed it. Fortnite then took out auto qual, but also took out the prize pool. So when you have a team like Ages, Acorn, and Pollo, who, if you look at their match history, are going to be able to get a win quite easily, there's no reason for them to keep playing properly. They don't want to get a win, because if they want to keep playing their games out, they want to keep their drop spot locked down, they want to get more practice, and they want to have more fun, it's in their best interest to actually not win. And that's why we can see this match history of getting a 17 elim second, a 2 elim 17th. Game 2, I don't know if that was them messing around. I asked Acorn about it. He said, look, I honestly don't know what I was doing. I sold that game. Then they got an 18 elim 3rd, a 19 elim 5th, and then finally in game 5, got an 18 elim win. So again, you can say I'm just, oh, I'm an Acorn fan, I'm riding Acorn's team, but they did not want to get a win. I can promise you, if they wanted to win, they most likely would have won that first game. And that is a bit of a weird one. We've seen a lot of teams do this in the past, and I think people seem to get upset about it. Again, you can draw whatever lines you want. You can say, that's not right. They should play to the best of their ability and try to win every single game. And I wish the format rewarded that. I wish there was prize pool back in these qualifiers, so there was a reason to try hard. But teams like Ages, Acorn, Pollo know there's no reality where they don't qualify out of a lobby like this, so they can mess around a little bit. I think it gets a little bit shady when you start targeting certain teams or giving other certain teams the win, right? Like if you're like, oh, I really, really like this team, so it's them on high ground, guys. Stop trying, let them win. But there wasn't anything like that. We had Ages streaming this whole tournament, and they were W keying anyone they saw indiscriminately, and they were just messing around in the end game. And I'm sure if they got the win, they'd go for it. I do want to show another moment where, if you don't believe me about how they were playing, you just thought, oh, maybe game 1, their aim just all of a sudden got really bad. Here is Pollo going for what was almost an insane clip in one of their end games.
No, you can speculate all you want. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are going to say that what I'm saying is, slanderous. But I think that they're kind of just testing the waters right now. They're kind of seeing what the rest of the competition is doing, and they already
Kelly
know
is
that they're
potentially
so high up the
insinuating that maybe
leaderboard. They
Pollo
don't
is
really
not
need to go for that
fighting
victory
properly
right
here
now.
or trying as hard as they could. Honestly, I really wish Pollo hit that clip. It was going to be so disgusting. But Taki, Ishu, and Verd ended up winning game number 2. They got a 7 elim win in game number 5 and an 8 elim win in game number 2. They're doing it from the old Demon Dojo split. This team was a no-brainer. They were obviously always going to qualify. And now after the first 2 games, there was one very big team a lot of people worried about. Booga, Threats, and Craze had a 2 elim 10th, a 1 elim 16th. But again, it is worth mentioning Threats crashed in game 2, so a 1 elim 16th is actually not that bad. The fact that Booga and Craze made it that long was impressive. And then game number 3, right when everyone started to smack talk Booga and say he's not going to make it, Booga, Threats, and Craze came out with the 13 elim win. Game number 4 went over to Aviv, G-Money, and Rise. Now, this is a team that was playing really well. I don't know whether they were deliberately trying not to win. I don't know if that was the strategy, but they got a 12 elim 3rd, 7 elim 2nd, 3 elim 5th before getting the 9 elim win. That was our 4 wins on the board. And then Ages, Acorn, and Pollo, I already told you guys, ended up closing it out with an 18 kill win in their last game. And again, whatever your stance is on whether you think it's fair or not fair that Pollo's team did what they did, there's a lot of teams that do it. Again, I have no issue with it, and you're probably going to say that just because, oh, just because you like Acorn, Ages, Pollo. Honestly, as long as you're not deliberately, like I said, giving the win to a certain team, I understand it. We've had tournaments where I've talked about this for years now. Teams deliberately not qualifying through groups early so they can hold down their drop spot. We've seen people do it in every single reboot round format, especially on NA, when the discussion has been made, should there be 3 groups on NA Central? EU had over twice the player base of NA before it was NA Central and NA West. There's just not really enough pros on NA Central to warrant 3 groups. And I honestly have to agree. I think EU should have 3 groups, but I think NA Central, like all the other regions, should maybe go down to 2. So only top 66 teams make it through. And then we have 2 groups where there's 5 games. If you win a game, you go through. And then the top 10 who don't get a win go through. It would make the groups feel a bit more substantial. Again, a lot of these big teams would still have a pretty easy breezy time of it. They'll still most likely get a top 15, but it would add a little bit more pressure as the lobby would be a little bit more stacked. It's not spreading out so thin where a team like Ages, Acorn, and Pollo just know they're going to qualify. But again, I've said this so many times, half the times when I kind of make these criticisms of the format, it's because the format is so competitive. This is what a competitive format is. The best teams should always make it through because they're the best teams, and you reward them for being significantly better. So if they don't change it, I'm not going to be too mad, but we've had this discussion many times before. No, I don't think Ages, Acorn, and Pollo are going to get banned or punished for this, and honestly, I don't think they should, as there's a lot of teams who do this in certain scenarios. Like I said, this group stage was extremely close. The next 5 on consistency, we had Void, Broken, and King. They came in first on 229 points. They had a 4th, 6th, and 4th on top of a 10th and 29th, so they played extremely well. Power, Blue, and Xander, who got a 9th, 8th, 3rd, 11th, and 22nd. That 3rd place could have done it for them, but that was in the last game. It clutched up the consistency they needed. Then we had Aiden, Carillion, and Hound, who got a 6th, 6th, 19th, 8th, and 12th. So again, 3, I would say, really solid games in there. We had Core, Gray, and Preston, a pretty underrated team who were doing it out of the old Vert split, north of Pump Power. I actually had them predicted. A lot of people question why I would put them on there. I'm very, very proud of Preston's team for living up to that. And then we had Liam, Drivsy, and Madden, who got a 4 elim 5th, 7 elim 6th, 2 elim 8th, and then a 15th and 22nd. So again, pretty solid match history, but it was only 166 points to qualify. And unfortunately, the team just outside that, missing out by 1 single place, is Day, Jack, and Boji. And yes, that is the FNCS winner Day. Super unfortunate for them. Extremely unfortunate considering in the first 3 games, they got fought by Pollo's team. Again, wrong place, wrong time. Acorn's team was just fully indiscriminately king. I interviewed Acorn after the games, and I literally told him, he's like, oh, did Day qual? And I said, nah, man, Day missed out by 1 place, and it's because you keyed him 3 times. And he had no idea. He didn't even know that's who he was fighting, because again, it's just the way it goes when you're W keying through these lobbies. So super unfortunate for Day's team. I really hope they can pull it off in the last chance qualifier, because that team has been ridiculously grinding every day, playing all 9 games of scrims. Boji's been streaming like 2 or 3 hours of off spawns on top of that. I was really excited to see how they went with uncontested fields, and I think they were going to be pretty good. But again, that first game was a 0 elim 20th. if they got even a single kill in that game, they qualify. They got a 7th, 9th, 6th, and 14th, even more going down to Acorn's team. So the 2 games they didn't run into Acorn's team, they got a 3 elim 9th and an 8 elim 6th. It's how the cookie crumbles. Moving on over to EU, and again, I would say this EU group was definitely a lot harder than the NA group, but I don't think it's the hardest EU group by any means, but we had some big upsets, some really big names missing out that honestly, especially if you're on social media and looking at Twitter, which I'll show in a little bit, kind of hurt here. So our first game win went to none other than Vanya, Pixie, and Marius. Absolutely no surprise here, a 9 elim win to this trio. Now, because we have the new Asarian update, I was checking out the stats during the games, and I noticed that Vanya had a 4.0 damage ratio. So he's done 4 times the amount of damage he's taken. I thought, wow, Vanya's really popping off. My man's going crazy, but turns out he only did 397 damage, meaning that he took less than 100 damage total in the entire game it took for him to win the game. Now, I feel like Vanya, Pixie, and Marius could have actually potentially lost this game, but if you're going to have any of your teams clutch drop down and try and stop a heal off, it's going to be Pixie, Marius, and that's exactly what they did in game 1. They've got the heal off, man. I think they win.
They don't have a choice. They need these players to drop to the low.
Blaha misses the shot, which gives them even more mass to play for the heal off. I think Vidil wins this.
Materials.
We haven't seen Vanya's heal off yet. Maybe Vanya has better heal off, or Marius and Pixie just go crazy and drop down and frag out. Let's see. It's gonna come down to Pixie. Pixie has to interrupt the heal off here. If I've got a player I'm thinking to try and go for the heal, like stop the heal off here, it's Pixie. Yep, there it is. 160, bro. Drops down 160's Vidil. Marius is looking for Crimson. Marius is hunting him. Marius is hunting. Marius might be able to stop him here. The heal grenade, he can siphon that heal grenade. He can get into it. He does get into it. The 100 tag. Oh my god. Marius and Pixie absolutely them. Oh my god. Marius and Pixie are the ghosts, bro. They actually were going to lose that heal off. There's no way they were winning that. Pixie sits one down. Marius chased him to Storm. That was clean. So Vanya didn't really have to do any damage. My man just got to play the perfect early mid game, sit on height, and secure the win for his trio. Now, after this, that meant Flooded Frogs was now open. We had Ghost, Hyper, and Jewel end up leaving contested Demon's Domain to go take that drop. And then game 2, we had Vidil, Cringe, and Volko. They got a 9 elim second in that first game. They were the team that Pixie and Marius keyed to stop the heal off. And honestly, I thought Vidil's team should have won that game, but Pixie and Marius are just insane. But they backed it up with an 11 elim win. So they got a 9 elim second and 11 elim win back to back, 100% confirming they deserve to be in Grands. They are looking amazing. And then game number 3, we had Ghost, Hyper, and Jewel, who, like I just said, switched to Flooded Frogs, get a 14 elim win. So 2 of the first 3 teams to qual on EU both did it from Flooded Frogs, which again is an insane testament to how strong this drop is, but just goes to show if you're not at a good drop spot in groups, once a team auto quals, go take their drop, try and do what they did from their drop spot, and it paid off really big for Ghost team. Then we had game number 4, Wheaton, Frizzy, and Sined, who got a 3rd place in game number 2, managed to clutch up the win in game 4. I was a bit confused earlier this season when I saw Wheaton, Frizzy drop Ilusha for Sined on this trio, because Wheaton, Frizzy, and Ilusha were looking amazing, but they picked up Sined and they found almost instant success there through the grand finals. And in game number 5, we saw a big name team that almost didn't even make it 2 groups. Trulex, Teeny, and Skivvy, who came 97th in the group stage, coming down to a last game clutch win just to even make it here. Then they got a 5 elim win. And honestly, they were one of the most consistent teams on the day. They didn't have a single placement outside the top 10. An 8th, 5th, 6th, and then the 1st. So they looked really, really solid. Now, we had 5 spots to go for consistency, and we already have big names like ThomasHD's team missing out, Shark's team missing out, Refsguard. There were some big names, and unfortunately, a lot of them still didn't make it in qualification on consistency. So we had Dynas, Giras, and Frantic as our most consistent team on the day. Sorry, I should say they were a bit more consistent than Trulex. They got a 4th, 6th, 6th, 4th, and 2nd. So I'm glad they could at least bring it back because they were very close a lot of times. Then we had Rax, Belusi, and Zangi. They got a 9 elim 3rd in their last game to clutch, which was their best game. And then a team that I think almost everyone predicted, myself included, to bring it home off a win. Chino, Pablo, and Frodoxy going into their last 2 games weren't even anywhere near the top 10. They had to get a 9 elim second and a 3 elim 8th in their last 2 games just to qualify as our FNCS runner-ups from Supernova. So not really sure what happened there for this team. I really did think they were going to perform better, but they made it through. That's all that matters. Then we had Pahava, Kaisers, and Masiak do it with a 2nd and a 6th in their first 2 games. Kind of slowed down, but luckily brought it back with a 7th in their last game. And then the last spot going to Loki, Sanguild, and QB, which, yes, if you're watching the leaderboard right now, you know what that means. Sky, Scroll, and Thomas missed out by 1 place, which just seems to be the story of ThomasHD's career, always missing out by 1 place, but it gets even worse. They did it because they only got to play 4 of their 5 games. They got a bug, didn't load into one of their games, and if they got the average amount of points they would have in those games, they would have finished easily in qual. They would have had like 220 points, which would have put them in the 2nd most consistent spot. So really, really disastrous from Sky, Scroll, and Thomas. It's had ThomasHD tweet out that he's even considering going to a real esport, most likely Counter-Strike. I was talking with my Twitch chat about this. He just said he's just over it. Like there's so many things out of his control. Yes, he could have played better. Yes, they could have qualified in just those 4 games, but it just kind of sucks that a bug is what cost them from qualifying. And I have to agree, it is extremely frustrating, but Sky's response was even potentially more painful. He played this clip on Twitter from Markiplier.
I don't understand how I can be fine and totally fine, make so much progress the very first time, and then completely f everything up. The only answers are I'm an idiot or I'm doing it on purpose.
I never thought I'd see a Markiplier tweet being clipped by a pro, and also it hit the feels so hard. I do really feel for this trio, but I hope they can just lock in, figure out what went wrong. They should have qualified if they didn't have a bug anyway, so I hope they can focus on that and just lock in and get it through last chance. It would be an awesome run. It would be super exciting for the storyline, and also a team that I think could do well in grands. A lot of times, last chance just feels like it doesn't matter who qualifies through last chance because they're probably going to dud grands anyway. We've had a few insane runs like we've had from Roxy, Marius's teams over the last few seasons, but I'm hoping Sky, Scroll, and Thomas can be another one just like that. We did have some other big teams miss out. Skyjump, Refsguard, and Mumsy. They were contested at Crime City, got third-partied game 1, then won 3 in a row, got a 13th, 10th, and a 3rd, but then went down on spawn in game 5, making Refsguard miss out on qualifying again. Remember, he came 11th in the last 2 seasons of FNCS semifinals, missing out by 1 place, this time now missing out by 3. And the biggest name probably to be missing from this one, depending on where you're coming from, Kombek, Shark, and Blaha. Kicked off with a big 6 elim 3rd, but then after that just kind of fell over. I couldn't even tell you what happened. They got a 23rd, 13th, 12th, and 22nd. They just didn't play particularly well. You can let me know in the comments down below if I'm missing something. I feel really bad. I don't know if something was going wrong. Their setup wasn't working. They got unlucky. Maybe a team kept keying them, but it just looks like something went very wrong for this trio, and I'm interested to see if they even queue up last chance together. They're more than good enough to make grands, but it just doesn't seem to be working. So I really hope they can fix it up, queue up last chance, and dominate. It's another team I'd love to see make it through last chance, but we've only had 1 group, and we already have, I would consider, 3 big teams I'd love to see make it through last chance, and there's only 3 spots. We still have 2 groups to go, so if we have any other big names like Mongrel, like Savage, or huge upsets, it's going to be really, really interesting to see who can actually get one of those last 3 spots.